And the magic machine tells me that I am live. It has been a hot minute. We are going to be talking about big eyes. Well, this is what I get for using a blurred big eyes, small mouth. It's like an inadvertent censorship. Well, for a game dedicated to Japanimation, how old am I? I remember. How old am I? I remember when drum and bass was called jungle. Kids, I remember when drum and bass was called jungle. Golden Coin 100. I see you in the live chat. I'm looking at the live chat. I'm going to look at the live chat till some schmo shows up. And Tim Frey is here. See ya. Peace. Mario Heat's here. See ya. Peace. Jen Q is here. See ya. Long time no see. Jen Q. How you doing? And I hate this, but Professor DM, Professor Dungeon Master, if you're part of the system, you're part of the system. Don't complain about the YouTube algorithms and it does this and it does that. If you're part of the beast, you're part of the beast, right? Take it from Fugazi. You want to be outside of the music business? You're outside of the music business. You join you sign with the major label, you Rage Against the Machine. You're in bed with Music Biz Marty. Don't worry about it. De La Roca. Asata, a puta bat, and a BMW inside your parking lot, and the best maternity ward care for your progeny. Okay? Jen Q's telling me I look excellent tonight. Tonight? Come on now. Sojourn On is here. Don't forget, folks, we're on the TTRPG channel. Okay, so we're talking about games. Big eyes, small mouth. We're here. Before I forget, folks, while I got you here in the intro, the basic expert, let it fly at the end of 2024. I guess he thought that no one but his fans were listening, that the basic expert's been playing since 2014, starting with 4th edition before going on to 5th edition. That means he's been gaming for less than 10 years. You're a kid. I knew you were younger than me, but I didn't know how much younger than me. Expert, basic expert. You're so old school. You're still in school, you jackass, you little kid. Anyone who can pronounce Schopenhauer can name drop people like Schopenhauer and Nietzsche and, name all the philosophers you want to. You study in your college classes. But do you know or comprehend the material you're talking about? I know you think you know. That's the Dunning-Kruger effect in full effect. Everybody thinks they know and understand the things that they think that they know and understand. You're a joke, sir. But you're a kid and you'll learn. But that's it. That's it. The basic expert 10-year playing. And here's my imitation of the RPG pundit in his predictions for trends coming up. I love the guy. He's a human being. Mario, watch yourself. Don't cross the streams. I'll have to cross the stream on you. No, I'm kidding, baby. Stole my bit. Come on now. Everyone knows I've been distracting since 2014 over here, 2015 over here. I've been detracting since when the basic expert was still playing 4th edition. I don't want to hear about anybody trying to make fun of DSP over on anything else, like acting like he knows. People acting like they know. Nobody knows. Speaking of people who don't know, RPG Pundit literally said this in his predictions for trends upcoming in the RPG world. Says this. He goes, we live in a world where people are still paying for basically note for note clones of D&D BX. He goes, if these trends continue, the OSR will only continue to grow. And I immediately stopped myself and was just like, bro, that's like, picture this. I don't know when the pet rock phenomena, like, jumped the shark or like had its like went from, oh my God, I can't believe this is working to, well, we had a good run. But imagine you're like, at Pet Rock, corporate headquarters circa, I don't know what, 1976, 75, 76. And you're looking at the, how the numbers look, folks. Yeah, I'm as surprised as you are, man. But look, our sales of the Pet Rock 1974 are like, I can't believe people keep on buying these things. But if these trends continue to 75, 76, 77, Hakamoto, you did the numbers. What did you say was going to look like in 84? In 84, we'll be bigger than Mitsubishi. Bigger than fucking Mitsubishi, man. Pet rock, pet rock, pet rock. But as we all know, the pet rock wasn't long for this world. Now, granted, the OSR has had a longer run than the pet rock. But I guess what I'm saying is, look, if you're banking on the fact that the trend of people buying retro products has gone on for X amount of time, and you're banking on that, meaning that you've got a growth product on your hand, that's counterfactual, counterlogical, counter-rational, and that just doesn't work. I, on the other hand, predict that the OSR will eventually run out of people willing to buy the same game over and over again because bloat, just like every other scene that has gone through this world, like death metal, grunge, or whatever, any kind of thing, in a world where everyone can do it, it's like techno music. Eventually you stop buying, white labels, you know what I mean? As a DJ, just you get enough that everyone's doing it. And also people, run out of money. And it's just also, it's like this, there's not a replacement, cohort for the players that leave the scene. I know that people think that there was some renaissance with Matt Mercer and Critical Role and Stranger Things, that they brought new faces and people and a new revival to tabletop role-playing games, and that it had nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. But I'm telling people that what actually happened, and you can disagree with me, we'll see what happens as if trends continue and the trends work my way or the trends bear out that I was wrong and everyone else was right. But what I think is that it was 80s nostalgia, and that the Stranger Things had the kids playing Dungeons and Dragons because it was 80s nostalgia, was on the cusp of the cultural zeitgeist, and Dungeons and Dragons was part of that 80s zeitgeist nostalgia, like Revenge of the Nerds and all that stuff. And then that's what happened. And that, as that zeitgeist passes on and passes through, we now see, if you look at the malls and you just look at kids, what kids are doing, they're not making love to the 80s anymore. They're all moving on into the 90s. Generally, how many times have you heard on YouTube and Geek YouTube people mention today Babylon 5, Firefly, or possibly Serenity? I bet you did if you're on NerdTube. And that's how it goes. That's my predictions. You're going to see the new issues of Stranger Things bomb because they waited too long. Because if you wait too long on a thing, it doesn't work. Believe you me, Rat and Warrant, a lot of these bands these hair metal bands put out albums in the 90s. It just didn't work. What are you going to do? But that's it. That's my little gentle digs at some people in the community to get it started before we move on into the fray of Big Eyes Small Mouth, the first edition circa 1997, 1998. And let me first of all, let me do this. I have to do this. I think my avatar is sufficiently triggering as well as culturally insensitive and appropriate. Hold on one second. I gotta get blow my nose. I'm all out of practice. All this talking has just stimulated my sinuses. There you go. Here we go. So a little bit of history of Big Eye Smallmouth. Big Eye Smallmouth is currently on its fourth edition. And when you see a Big Eye Smallmouth mentioned on YouTube, especially, the most popular version of it is really the second edition. Um, you'll see it in this book or another version, the second edition revised, which is basically the same thing. Big Eye Smallmouth first came out in this gray book in 97. I have a second printing here, like circa 98. It went on for a while, and it had the to understand is that it had the first edition came out this original slim volume. It was followed by some supplementary written by this individual, Mark C. McKinnon. If you can come up with a more Canadian name, I don't think you could. He's not a member of the Kids in the Hall, but he could be. This is a Canadian undertaking. And the history of Big Eye Smallmouth roughly goes like this. The editions go, he started it, and then shortly thereafter, his Guardians of Order little thing was joined by some erstwhile compatriots, especially this individual, David L. Pulver, who started writing some additional material for this system where it got more fleshed out. There were this Hot Rods and Gun Bunnies, which added skills to the system. And there was another book that came before this that added more fleshed out rules for mecha and stuff. And those additional rule books are basically what got incorporated and became the second edition of Big Eye Smallmouth, the anime role playing game. And we'll talk about that concept of an anime role playing game and the questions that kind of arise about that, about how that works. Is anime a genre unto itself? Not really. So how do you have an anime role playing game? And we'll get into it. It unfortunately, Guardians of Order had a good run as far as independent TTRPG companies are concerned, in the sense that they lasted about a decade. Big Eye Smallmouth went on to its second edition. It was right about to do its third edition. Also, come 2000, 2003, due to the near ubiquitous presence of the original OGL, they did do a D20 version of Big Eye Smallmouth that is not really that popular with the fan base. I've had picked up a couple of Big Eye Smallmouth material over the last couple of years. I've looked at a little bit of it, but I picked these last three books up, and the another copy of the TriStat system, which is like the generic first edition rule set, this last holiday season. And I was really getting into it because I was interested in stuff from this, pre-millennium, 97, 98, and, kind of 2000 era. And going back to the history of Big Eye Smallmouth, the second edition, which was kind of like the most popular edition, I think it's fair to say. And right before the third edition came out, the third edition was ready to come out, like I think it was around 2005. But that's when Guardians of Order, unfortunately, I guess for want of a better term, went bankrupt, went under. The rights to publish the third edition of Big Eye Smallmouth then went to a subdivision of White Wolf called Art House, who came out with the third edition, but I don't know if it was promoted or if there were some issues with the way it was promoted, or not all of what was intended to happen with third edition did happen with third edition. And that's where the story laid for a long time. Take care, Gen Q. Take care, my friend. There you go. There you go. I don't know when you'll see me on the main channel. You're much more likely to see me on I'm the One Who Works Here Now. I think the main, we'll never say never, but it is what it is. But I thank you for coming by, and being a woman present in the TTRPG space. Believe you me, you have no idea what you've done for my algorithm and shifting the dynamics of cultural attaché in the TTRPG space, for what it's worth. And I apologize if in any way, shape, or form that sounds untoward. But like I said, we're all part of the machine. We're all part of the system. We're all part of the social network. Like it, lump it, loathe it, leave it. It is what it is, right? What are you going to do? And I thank you again for being here. So that's where the story of Big Eye Smallmouth kind of went. The third edition came out. It had to be shifted to a third party, and that's where it was. Move forward a couple of years. Mark C. McKinnon, the original the original author and man behind Big Eye Smallmouth, went on to do a thing called Anime 5e that he had some success with. This is a fifth edition variant based on anime, again, continuing this trend of anime gaming, however you can understand that or want to understand that. And then it gets off the largesse that he had built up off that and the confidence that he had built off of that resurgence in the scene. Also, he then post the bankruptcy of Guardians of Order, I understand he went back to school and got his bona fides in chemical engineering. And I understand he also eventually went on to hold public office in Gulf, Ontario. It's in Ontario, Canada, but it has the name of a southwestern border town. Gotta love it. Anyway, he came back and decided to reinvigorate Big Eye Smallmouth, and now you'll see Big Eye Smallmouth. About 3 years ago, it came back with a fourth edition. First and second edition Big Eye Smallmouth are nearly identical games. Third and fourth edition Big Eye Smallmouth are related to each other. First and second Big Eye Smallmouth and third and fourth edition Big Eye Smallmouth are completely different systems. So if you do Big Eye Smallmouth edition 1 or edition 2, you can play both of those games interchangeably. If you're in Big Eye Smallmouth third edition or fourth edition, it's my understanding that you can live safely in that world and go back and forth between those games. But Big Eye Smallmouth edition 1 and 2 are not cross-compatible with edition 3 and 4. So it's two different things. That's my understanding based on seeing an interview with Mark C. McKinnon, and also just, getting the lay of the land. Since basically the beginning of the year, since, Christmas, and, I've been basically the mid-December through now, I've basically been kind of immersed. And I may have read this small little book of about 91 pages. I may have read this book like 5 or 6 times, just trying to get it, to get a grasp of it. I mean, I've got a total grasp of it, but just, kind of just fully understanding it, and just pondering and contemplating it, even though, overall it's an embryo. Obviously, when you see Mark speak today, he'll talk about first edition. There was a retro reissue of the second edition rule book as part of a Kickstarter, but he's made it very clear that was just, for the fans, because, the original books were out of print for so long. but he's behind fourth edition, and he lionizes fourth edition. And when it comes to conversations about first and second edition, he's like, look, these are older editions, and we put out the retro version for fans, and as an homage, and we love it. But if you're going to ask me about Big Eye Small Mouth, I'm all about the future. I'm all about now, and I'm all about the current tri-stat system, not the past tri-stat system. And so when I get into the review of this, understand that I know and acknowledge the fact that deficiencies I might find and talk about in this version of the game, I know and understand that I'm talking about a version of the game that goes back 28 years. Right? So a lot of the problems I'm going to talk about are going to be fixed. The reason I wanted to talk about this, the reason why I want to do this is a lot of it has to do with history preservation. If you go, Catherine Claudio, we see you. Claudio, Catherine, welcome. One chick enters, one comes in, one chick leaves, one chick enters. Not to be that way, but one woman leaves, one woman enters. You see, I classed it up. And the rock just keeps on rolling. You want to subscribe to those other TTRPG channels? Do they have ladies in their live chats? You sexist son of a bitch. Yeah, well, listen, hold on. I'm an old man. I get confused. Okay? Speaking of getting confused, I've got that. And to save the day, ladies, you're about to rate. So, you're about to complain to me to Jen Wasowski or whoever, whatever. And then the cat showed up. And I guess everything's forgiven then, huh? I guess everything's forgiven then. Thank you, Arlo. You saved my bacon yet again. Thank you. Like Donald Trump, I will receive no comeuppance, apparently. Yeah, I go, I'm convicted, but no, I'm sentenced and convicted, but no time. Okay. Oh, but the eternal shame will follow me. I won't lose my license, but everyone will know that I was officially censured as an attorney. That never happened to me, by the way. Just to give you an example. You know what I mean? Oh no. There are some people for whom, penalties like that matter and count. But then again, those people don't do the sort of shenanigans that gets you in trouble. So, you know what I mean? It is what. Anyway, not to get too far afield. Anyway, as if that not to get too far afield. Anyway, and he hasn't even had to open the books yet, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. He hasn't even opened the books yet. Anyway. And when I'm done with the video, you know what I'll say? I'll say, and I said I was never going to do the live chat again, and I did the live chat. What ended up happening? I ended up being sexist. But I acknowledge it. And I'm going to work on it. I'm going to work on being a better person. Okay? Is it too late for the Twinkie defense? Did I mention my blood sugar? I was very upset about the wild. Come on. Arlo, what are you doing? No. Come on. Cat again. Okay, here we go. Let's just do this. Big Eye, Small Mouth. Say first edition. Okay, it's got many editions. This one's the first. Let's start at the beginning. Here we go. I went through this thing, and I went through this thing, and I went through this thing, and I went through this thing. And I was really, I'll tell you about why I started with the first edition. I was really interested in, for those who don't know, and I don't know why any of you wouldn't, because who the heck comes to my channel for the first time? No one. My own methodology of solo role play, my own methodology of exploring TTRPG materials is fully incorporated and ingrained in a an exploration of chronology, time, history, and the way that working with historical materials can bring us to places. I'm speaking about esoteric subjects in an esoteric and occult way. So it is understandable if I lose some of you along that way. So I was looking for rule sets, and I was interested in rule sets that are tied to particular places in time so that I can work with them and work with material from particular places in time. So a game that I know was from 1997, 1998 is ideal for me because I have memories from 97, 98. There are many movies that I have distinct memories of sitting in the theater from in 97, 98. There are new movies that I'm interested in seeing that I haven't seen from 97 or 98. And I can gather impulses, tropes, themes, ideas, concepts from those movies, books, comic books, news stories. And it means something to me to incorporate them into gaming experiences that are total and toto and part of incorporated and holistically integrated into those same periods of time. And my joy is trying to find some way prior to the pain of OCD obsession, but moved to, some space of questing to find this ideal space that the gaming experience happens and the fun occurs. So over the past little while, I've been reading this book and I've been thinking about character creation concepts and working with it. And where we are now is at a point where I've been here before with gaming systems. Oh, Arlo, I'm trying to find this ideal place of working with a cat and petting him and not being distracted. Where I knew that I'll have a fever for a system and I'll be studying it and I'll be reading it and I'll be jazzed and excited about talking to the community about it, and I'll have ideas about the videos to talk about it. And then if I don't act within a certain period of time, I'll get to the part where, or the point where, I'm sick and tired of it and I want to go on and do something else. So the time is now to tell you what I've learned about Big Eye, Small Mouth. And I told you a little bit about the history. Now let's go into the game itself, the original game from circa 97. This is the second printing of the first book that came out in 98. That doesn't seem to have much of anything changed other than a foreword that includes the story of our erstwhile protagonist, the author Mark, having his first copies of the original game and taking it to a con to try and throw it out there and see what his little baby will do. The majority of this book is all character creation. Having gone through it a couple of times, and I've gone through it enough times, so eventually I got to the point where I had all these pieces moving around in my head, and I said to myself, I said, Ben, I said, just write the rules down, because the thing with this game, and I'll tell you, Mark, before he wrote this book, his big thing was he was responsible for running a convention for the game Amber, written by Eric Wojak. I think I pronounced that correctly. Who wrote the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game and was a big mover and shaker over at Palladium before his untimely passing. Amber is a diceless role playing game. And not only is it a diceless role playing game, it is truly a diceless role playing game in the sense that it has no randomizer, meaning that not only does it not function with a dice mechanic as a randomizer, it doesn't. There are other games that are diceless, but they'll use a deck of cards or a tarot deck as a randomizer. It has some other way of incorporating randomness into the game mechanic for unpredictability. Amber doesn't do that. Amber, the characters that you create through a process of, it's got this like kind of like auction house process whereby the characters are created and they're integrated into a kind of, you know, House of the Dragon family scenario. You got to know the history of the game and what's based on. It's Roger Zelazny material, but the characters have fixed stats. And if you're better than somebody in a given category, you always win in that category. So that's important to know, because some of that attitude about diceless mechanics or narrative gameplay definitely incorporate, especially this first iteration of Big Eyes Small Mouth. And that may affect why some people in Dragon Magazine, this book got 2 reviews. And one of the reviews was it's great, and another one is it's incomplete. And having read it enough times, I can tell you that I understand why someone would read this and say that it's incomplete. Because there's a lot of sections in it that seem like Mark might have gotten to a place where he was like, I don't know how to define it more, and I'm ready to go, and I want to go, so here we go. Because there's definitely a lot of places where it feels like, why isn't this filled in when the section right next to it is this one character attribute, which is like a class of skills or assets is clearly defined, and we have mechanics and we understand what's going on here. But this thing right next to it is just like narratively just, you know, a shoot for the stars and Bob's, and, you know, do whatever the heck you want. And it's understandable because it's a tall order to try and create an anime role-playing game. I could certainly understand the desire to want to do an anime TTRPG, an anime total, you know, tabletop role-playing game. But the question becomes, is that too broad a remit? Because what is anime? It's not a genre. Anime is animation that comes from Japan. But animation that comes from Japan, there are historical war dramas that come from Japan. There are comedies that come from Japan. Animation that comes from Japan, right? There's stories about the Roman Empire that come out of Japan animation, and there's you know what I mean. There's comedies in those. There's space operas that come from Japan that are very comedic and bawdy, like Outlanders. But then there's Japanimation space operas that are very, very, very dark. You know, Gundam Wing is very, very, a lot of it is very, very dark. So even if we go to 1997 and say, okay, look, there's no way that Mark could have anticipated Attack on Titan. Okay, fine, fair enough. But Berserk was there. Do you know what I mean? Demon City was there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not as though Mark, you know, wasn't aware of the fact that, you know, Guro was a thing. You know, that there were aspects of anime that were dark or that were, you know, very adult. You know, but the type of anime that game that he's clearly putting forward here. I don't even know this one, but I think Mario is putting his own favorites here. High Up Forces. I'll have to look that one up. I don't know. I might know that one. I might not know. I'm an old man. My references get all over the place. If you just had me highlight something that's Mario Heat, ladies and gentlemen, Mexican Canadian. There you go. He looks exactly like me with shorter hair. It's incredible. Soundtrack for Berserk. There you go. Thank you. Mario, you're on a watch list. I'm going to need you to give those references first, like, hey, CW, what I'm about to list is the soundtrack for Berserk. There you go. There you go. Folks, if you want to watch all 11 hours of Berserk from 1997, there's like multiple places you can watch it on YouTube. There you go. Anyway, allegedly. So first off, I'll tell you right off the bat that it doesn't take a long time to figure out that when Mark is telling you that this is an anime role-playing game, it's a specific type of anime role-playing game. This game, I don't know if this changes in later editions, but especially in this first edition, it is very clear that Cowboy Bebop, sure. You know, G-Force, absolutely. But it's fun, and it's Sailor Moon, 100%. In fact, they did the Sailor Moon TTRPG. Trigun, absolutely, you can do Trigun, right? Berserk, not going to happen. Attack on Titan, no thank you. It's meant for the fun stuff. It's meant for let's have a good time. It does have mortality. They have death in here. It may just be the case that Mark was just not looking to zone in or zoom in and define things too tightly. It's a big remit of a job assignment to try and do an anime TTRPG. And I think when we get into, and we're going to have to get into, because we've already been here for 37 minutes, because you have to cover a lot, that's part of the problem. It's meant to be rules light. They keep it light. They want to keep it moving. What people say generally is Dragon Ball's never had an official TTRPG. I don't know if that's true. They may have done something with the fusion system from, there might have been something with the fusion system out of Artosorian Games. You might have to check me on that. There's certainly unofficial ones. Check out the web for unofficial ones. We know, thanks to Big Eye Small Mouth, we have a whole bunch of different games. Anyway, what do we have here? Hey, Dylan. We've got the stuff that's like stuff that you'll see in every book. First of all, I'll tell you the value of this book is the book has great stuff when it comes to those extras that come in TTRPG books. It's got great insight. What is a role-playing game? Tips for GMs, tip for players. It's not extensive given the size of the book, but what's there is good. It's worthwhile information. Mario Heat, I stand corrected. One was launched indeed in 1999. Right on point. There you go. So, and who knew that? Someone just got a gold star in Otaku, and that somebody is CW Chanter. Thank you. All right. LA's not the only thing that's on fire. Sorry. Okay. Damn. Too soon? Shit. Sorry. Me. Okay. I apologize. Speaking of LA, no, okay. I'm sorry. So let's do this. Let's do this as best as I can. Try and get down into it. That's what she said. Okay. Sorry. What? Now I got an audience. An unfriendly audience. Here we go. How am I gonna do this? The majority of the game of this book is all character creation. Let me see how the best way I can do this. It might be the best way to do this is to go through the notes that I made, and along with the book, and then it'll just bring me to. So it's the tri-stat system. It's got 3 stats: body, mind, and soul. So you start off with character creation, and the majority of the book is character creation. There's no real background material. You get through character creation. Character creation goes through pages 9 through 46. Then you describe combat and other actions. Is basically the entire rule set of the game is combat and other actions. Is 4 pages 48 through 62. Then there's just 10 pages of role playing in an anime world. That's 67 through 77. And then there's just 14 pages of resources, which is just an anime glossary, an index, personality profiles, character sheets, and some additional stuff. So you see the vast majority of the book is all character creation. And then it's just basically like 12 or 13 pages of rules. We got the Walter Bosley channel is here. The Walter Bosley channel is here. Walter Bosley, speaking of Time Becomes a Loop, check out the Walter Bosley channel, who apparently has got a new take on the West Memphis 3. Folks, if you want, I thought I was brave. Walter Bosley, along with Todd Wood and some other, the guy with the red glasses, I don't know what they're going to say about, whoa. I don't want to mess with Damien Eccles. That guy makes CW Chanter look like a calm, cool, collected guy who doesn't know how to do black magic. Woo! But speaking of Japanimation, we get through. I'm kidding, but I'm serious. Turns out the butler did it. Speaking of. It's a very simple thing. Look at distracted again. Here we go. You roll 2 dice and add 10 to the result, giving you between, a score between 12, giving you between 12 and 22 points to distribute between these 3 stats: mind, body, and soul. Mind is everything with the intellectual powers. Body is everything from physical, from constitution to strength to dexterity. It's the whole kit and caboodle of the body. And soul, it could be a stand-in for charisma under certain conditions. It could be your wisdom stat. It could be your chi or karma. It could be a lot of different things depending on context and depending on the game you're running. So you assign these between 12 and 22 points between these stats initially. No stat can be lower than 1. Nothing can be higher than 12. And you can't have any stat. You can't have more than 1 stat be 12. Okay. And I'll tell you, it's a roll under system. It's a 2d6 roll under system. Okay. So if you've got 12 in a stat, it's just like advanced. It's just like the fighting fantasy books. If you've got a 12 in skill, right, you can't basically lose a thing, though a GM can modify the roll by making things more difficult. But even then, if you got a 12, you're sitting pretty when it comes to that stat. Also, I should say that you're going to get these character attributes, but I've seen people make this mistake, and I don't know if it's that they've revised it in 2nd edition, or if people are just making a common mistake by just mixing up different mechanics from different systems. I've read the book backwards and forwards. It's not a roll under attribute plus your stat. It's roll under the stat. So if you've got the stat, you're rolling under the stat, not the stat plus the attribute. Anyway, you're going to then assign between 10, 15, or 20 character points to get character attributes. So you have the stats, and then you have these character attributes. And this is where it gets fricazy, because these attributes are very not well described or defined at all. God bless them. I think they're trying to cover a lot of different bases when it comes. How, it's like a generic system that's a sub-generic system, right? It's like GURPS. If GURPS only took place in the context of chibi Muppet Baby style animation, not necessarily that, but I'm saying it's like a subset of a subset of a subset, right? It's like a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends. If you remember, like, from Kids in the Hall, like, what are you working on? It's a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends. Right. Could it say give pills, worms to ex-boyfriends? It's a pill that gives worms to ex-girlfriends. You just don't get it, right? It's like, what? Anyway, so some attributes of an assigned stat should a dice roll be needed. Be aware and discuss with GM. But anyway, but important note: system is not. I don't believe we did that one already. Da 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 da. Also, the attribute levels are not cumulative, so you're going to buy these attributes right at different levels. But it's not like you have to be level. If you want to buy an attribute at like level 5, you don't have to have bought level 4 before. And it's if you buy at level 5, you don't get the things from level 4, 3, 2, and 1. It's like you buy at a certain level. You buy at a certain level. And here's the thing: I'll go over all the character attributes, and I'll tell you that the problem is this: is that for a lot of these character attributes that take up the majority of the book, a huge portion of them are like unusable because they're just like not defined enough. Now, there might be people who's, depending on their love of narrative gameplay, is so great that they have no problem with the things that I have problems with. But I was really looking for what are the mechanics of the system and what systems are actually here, not just descriptions, like not just airy fairy, like, but what is the feel of a fireball? You know what I mean? Like, no, like tell me what it does so that when I'm playing, I can be like, this happened. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, no, God. That's how that, you know what I mean? What are you trying to vouch me? Yo, he. You're gonna get complaints. I'm so loud. Okay, I'm so loud. I apologize. I'm so loud. I'm getting complaints in the household. The kids complaining. The kids are complaining. I'm having fun. So here you go. Okay, here we go. Acrobatics. 1 point per level. So if you get these character attributes, then you're gonna buy these things. Oh, I got the finger. The kids gives me the finger. Ain't that nice? 1 point per level. Levels 4 and 5 have listed defense combat values increased by 1 point. That's level 4 and 5. Levels 1, 2, and 3 is just you're good at acrobatics. You're twice as good as the level before. You're 3 times as world class. It just doesn't tell you shit about acrobatics. And remember, it's not stat plus attribute. So it's like it doesn't really tell you much about what level 1, 2, or 3 would do. Like, why buy level 3 in acrobatics when it's just telling you that you're like twice as good as level 2? But we'll get to the point because we'll get there anyway. Appearance, 1 point per level. No levels means your average appearance levels 1, 2, and 3. It's increasing levels of appearance. Like level 1, you're like very attractive. Level 2, you're beautiful. Level 3, you're like a gorgeous beauty. And then number 4, you're extremely attractive. And if you also have the art of distraction attribute, that gets a +1. And I'm even writing down. I'm going to be more selective about which ones I write down. The juice might not be worth the squeeze. You might be realizing that already. We're at 49 minutes into this video. I might not read all this shit. Combat mastery, 2 points per level. Your combat attribute, it's a combat attribute, so no relevant stat is assigned to it. Each level increases your combat value by a corresponding number of points, i.e., you spend 2 points to get 1 level of combat mastery. Your combat value will go up by 1. No, this is offensive and defensive because this is we'll get to the combat anyway. The cybernetic body was 2 points per level. That it doesn't work. I wrote garbage filler. Damn healthy. You could spend points to increase your hit points. Level 1, 10 points. Level 2, 20 points, etc., etc. Divine Relationship, 1 point per level, allows the corresponding number of rerolls per gaming session, i.e., if you have 5 levels of Divine Relationship, you could reroll 5 times within a gaming session. Energy bonus, you also have energy points like mana, so it increases your energy as like you would increase health points. Extra attacks, 4 points per level, 1 extra attack and defense per level of attribute against a same target or group if they're close together, and if all attack defense actions are of the same type of nature, i.e., you can't switch from punching people to all of a sudden shooting people. It has to be the same sort of attack. Level 5 is you have 5 extra attacks and defenses each round. That matters because in this game, you only can defend once per round. That's a rule. You can only defend once per round. So if like 3 people attack you, you have to choose which one you defend against because you only defend once. So like 3 guys are going to punch you in the face. So it's like if Walter Bosley, Todd Wood, and the other guy are going to punch you in the face, you have to be like, let Todd Wood punch me. I'll take one in the knee from, Sesh Harari. But defend against Walter Bosley. He's the meat machine. Anyway, flunkies. This is OP for anybody's business. 1 point per level. You can get this ridiculous number of sidekicks that you could even have like stand in front of a bullet for you. OP beyond all get out. Focus combat, 1 point per level. 1 point per level increase the combat value under narrowly defined circumstances or conditions. Environmental conditions, like you get this bonus when you're fighting only underwater. But it could also be a weapon proficiency. So you could take this 1 point. The game is so unbalanced at this point in time. Fine. Like, so you could get, like, you could say, okay, my focus combat ability is with a gun. I have a gun. So whenever I'm fighting with a gun, I have the focus combat ability, or karate. My focus combat is in karate. So I have 2 points of focus combat in karate. And so that's an unarmed combat style. So if anyone fights you or attacks you, how are you going to defend? Well, you're going to defend with karate, aren't you? Because you know karate and you're unarmed. So you're going to defend with karate. Therefore, you're using your focus combat ability, which means why on earth would you go for combat mastery that counts as it's just twice as expensive when you could just get focus combat, which is half as much points, and by default, if you define it correctly, you know what I mean? Like, there's a problem is because everything is defined narratively. I think they were trying to cover all their bases and allow people to customize their characters and envision any sort of anime character you want to. I'm a magical girl who can fly and, also knows karate and does this. So you want them to be able to do it here. But the problem is that there's like duplicative things. It's like you can do it this way or this way, but if you do it this way, you could end up like coming off the lot having spent half the number of character points that another individual spent, but still end up with the exact same build. You know what I mean? And that's it just, it is. Fortified body increases the body stat. Heightened senses, this was meaningless. 1 point per level. You can see twice as your senses are twice as sharp as the average person. At second level, your senses are 3 times as sharp. Your senses are 4 times as sharp as the average person. What the fuck does that mean? Your senses are 5 times as sharp as the average human being. What the fuck does that mean? It means nothing. Item of power, that's a ridiculous rule that made no sense. Magic, 4 points per level or 2 points per level if you can find it to just one discipline. Now listen to this. Note. So paying just two extra points takes you from one discipline to multiple. So imagine the schools of like arcane magic, like necromancy versus elemental magic. If you were just doing necromancy, it would cost you 2 points. But if per level of necromancy magic. But if you spend the extra 4 points, not only could you do necromancy plus elemental magic, you could do necromancy, elemental magic, plus divination magic, plus healing magic, plus you know what I mean? There's no gradation. It's not 2 points for every discipline. It's 2 points or 4 points for everything. God bless him. I don't think I could do better on my first time doing a TTRPG, but it is what it is. No, so paying two just extra points takes you from one discipline to multiple specializations. Examples given in book. Protection spells, elemental spells are distinguished from weather spells. I don't know how that works. Charm spells, necromantic spells, animal spirit spells, etc. Is whiz. Casting costs 3 points per level of spells. If affecting only one person or object, or at the GM's discretion, if it affects more than one person or object, it could cost an additional 3 or 6 points or energy points or mana points. If more than one target object or creature, cost is incurred regardless of success or failure. I guess you would roll in your mind stat. GM decides spell level and required attribute level to cast. That's part of the problem. Is that look, there's no, you buy this book and Magic for all this verbiage really doesn't tell you anything, because level one can cast short duration spells of no real power. Okay, that seems obvious that those are cantrips. Level two can cast medium duration spells of no real power, e.g., light, protection from elements, climb walls. Spells of this type are level two spells. Level three can cast short term spells of some power, i.e., e.g., lightning from fingers, x ray vision, levitate. Spells of this type are level three spells. Level four can cast medium duration spells of some power, e.g., flight, ward of protection, limited invisibility. The point is that level five can cast spells of great power in nearly any duration, e.g., summon spirits, create matter, teleportation, weather control. The point is that there's no like, you're going to tell me that those spells that between level four and level five are clearly distinguishable in power or effect. The GM, it comes down to GM decision making. The bottom line is that you're going to have to talk to your characters in creation. You're going to have to talk to people about what they want to do. Mages are not going to be people who are going to be able to cast this spell, that spell, the other spell, another spell. What do you want to do? What is it that your character can actually do? What level is that going to be at? What is it going to cost them to do that? And you're going to have to narrowly define. And when I was looking through it, it seems like you're going to have to really narrowly define. Like if you want to control fire, it's going to be have to be kind of like, if you want to do fire under these different circumstances, you might have to buy this ability, that ability, and that other ability with fire. Or maybe you're overthinking of it. Jonasides are working, of course. Of course you're working on understanding Big Eye, Small Mouth. You might be wasting your time. It might be worth your while to just wait for the second edition review. Anyway, magic level attribute guide is of no real help value beyond level one, which is cantrips. That's my analysis. Massive damage, 2 points per level. Damage mod to any attack in which the player character is direct influence, i.e., even if you throw a grenade, you have direct influence because you're deciding where to throw the grenade. But if you're setting a bomb on a timer, that doesn't have direct influence, so you can't get the bonus. And this is the summation of your knowledge and ability to place the blow, do what you need to do to get massive damage. Between levels 1 and 5, you get a 5, 10, 15, 20, or 25 point amount of increased damage on physical impact or physical damage. Own a big robot, 4 points per level. Again, this is one of these things where between levels 1 and 5, you go from a full suit of body armor, +1 attack combat value, and an armor level of 1. We'll get into that. And weapon damage between 1 and 8. When it gets to this weapon damage, it's nuts because it's hard to tell like if you're supposed to roll on this weapon damage or if it's just a flat damage that you're supposed to pick a number between. Because if you give me weapon damage between 1 and 8, I can look at that and say, oh, that's supposed to be an eight-sider. But if you give me weapon damage of 8 to 12 or 12 to 20 or 30 to 60, I'm like, what? What am I supposed to be doing here? So you go from a full suit of body armor. It just there's no rhyme or reason to the increase of power. I'll be here all day if I try and do this. If I try and do this more specifically, it just and if I go into the psionics, we'll just be here all day. Here's the deal. I don't think it's worth my while. I don't think it's worth our while to go through these rules. Um, let me try and do this. I'm trying to summarize everything. Own a big robot. The rules between levels 1 and 5, there's not enough explanation. They go up just increasing the attack combat value, increasing the armor level, and then increasing the weapon damage. But it goes from being just a full size suit of armor to level 2, you're 20 feet tall, which is the size of a 2-story house. Level 3, you're 100 feet tall. Then at level 4, you're 500 feet tall. Then level 5, you're 1,000 feet tall. But so at the time that you're making these non incremental increases in size, you're making these just step increments in damage capacity. So it doesn't make any sense why a 1,000-foot giant robot mech is doing just basically twice the damage of a mech that is half the size of it, or why that mech is basically doing the exact same amount of damage as a mech that's a quarter of its size. But what are you gonna do? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you get out there, it is what it is. Psionics, 4 points per level, like magic, various disciplines. If buying at 4 points per level, but limiting to one brings the cost down to 2 points per level. Examples of disciplines include telepathy, empathy, telekinesis, divination, pyrokinesis, clairvoyance or clairaudience, astral projection. Energy point cost is variable. Factor one, he's got to figure out the difficulty rating of the activity. And then step two, you roll the number of dice equal to the difficulty rating. And then you subtract that from the amount. Okay, you roll the number of dice equal to the difficulty rating. Then you subtract your attribute total from this amount, and that's the amount of energy point costs that it costs to use the talent. Now, this could result in a negative number, which means that you could actually return energy points to your character, which is great, I guess. Psionics, like magic, are either contested or uncontested. If it's uncontested, no dice roll is necessary unless under difficult circumstances. Contested, it's like combat. If it's a combat-like activity, you just roll it like a combat roll. We'll explain that when we get to combat. Like if you're hurling a rock with your telekinesis, you just treat it like a combat action. However, if you're attempting mind contact with the unwilling, the PC must roll a successful mind stat check. See mind combat. That's a nightmare. Mind combat is ridiculous. Level 1 states cannot initiate mind combat. Why? I don't know. Other levels equally as useless information wise. That's my note. Shape change, 2 points per level. 1 minute between changes. Relevant stat body. Do you need to roll your stat to see if you can change? That's not really the thing is they give you these stats, but it's not clear. Anyway, shape, not mass or size. Like you can't change your mass or your size. You just change your shape. At level 1, you can do superficial changes to your hair, your eye color, etc. At level 2, you can do radical changes in body texture, your limb, or torso structure. At level 3, you could change into another living thing, but not get any of their abilities. Like you could change into a giant, like a human-sized bird, but you couldn't fly. But at level 4, you could change into a human-sized bird and fly. And at level 5, you could change into these forms and use their abilities, and you could do it quickly. So at level 5, it seems like the only benefit is that you could change fast. That's a hell of a benefit, but it's not, is what I'm saying. It's not a benefit at all. That doesn't seem like a benefit at all. It seems like they had only 4 ways to describe changing into things cool, and they needed a fifth one, so they came up with one. Size change, 1 point per level. Relevant stat, body. Changing size requires about 30 seconds for each level listed. A rule that's not in place for changing shape. It's just here for size change. It's not consistent, but hey, what are you going to do? Level one, 25% increase or decrease in size. Number two, 50%. Number three, 100%. Number four, 200%. And then number five, 1,000%. It doesn't tell you what it's written as follows. Let me show you. This is where language drives me bananas because I'm an idiot. Size change. 25% increase or decrease to 3/4 of body mass. Now, are they telling you that by buying size change, you can increase or decrease? Like if I want to increase or decrease my body, do I have to buy size change twice? Or does buying size change mean I can increase or decrease? Like, is it and or is it or? Right? It's not clearly defined. So everything drives me nuts. Anyway, get a special attack, 2 points per level. Also, no explanation for effect on gamer stats, or either it's just one direction, grow shrink. Like again, like you if you grow to 1,000 times your body size and your average size human, you'd be the same size as one of these robot mechs, presumably, but they get defined what they do, but not if you are a big thing. I don't know what the fuck. Special attack, 2 points per level. Levels 1 through 5 is +1 or +5 to attack combat value and small, moderate, large, major, and or very powerful special attack effect. That tells us nothing. Useless non-direction like magic and psionics. Examples given: energy point drain, weakness detection, disease transfer, health point drain, paralysis, etc., magical effect, analog. Yeah, it was great, but it's like, why would you, you know what I mean? It's like, it is what it is. Special defense is the same as special attack, but in reverse. Defense combat value. Note, could mimic magic effects, but only in one-way combat scenarios, but no energy point cost, but use your power anywhere, i.e., non-combat subject. I'm analyzing here and writing notes about why you buy it one way versus the other. So here's the thing: it's duplicative. There's things you could. It's like, do you if you want to say have the power of like I attack people with the power of Necro Death Finger. Do you want to define that as a magical ability? I have the necromantic power of Death Finger, which I can use as a magical power. I can cast Necro Death Finger to do this, that, the other thing. It's a magical power, so I'm buying it as a magical thing, and I roll when I want to do the magical spell. Or do you define it as a special attack that you just buy 2 points per level, do this, that, the other thing? It's methodology, but you're not supposed to overthink. This is supposed to be a game for one shots. So here's the thing: I have a feeling that they're, if I was dumber, I'd have an easier time playing TTRPGs, even though in theory TTRPGs are an activity for smart people. Like, I'll tell you this: like, I see that there are people that play the Dune TTRPG, but I could tell you as a person that took philosophy in undergraduate school, the Dune TTRPG is by definition objectively unplayable. But that's a game for another. That's a tale for another game. A game for another video. A video for another non sequitur. 5 people watching me, ladies and gentlemen. Speed, 1 point per level. How fast PC can potentially move in comparison to an average human adult? Who's got frames of reference for these things? Who knows how fast an average human person walks or moves? How are you supposed to implement this in a game? What are you supposed to do with this information? What are you supposed to do with the information that this person moves slightly faster? And then check this out. Levels 1, 2, and 3 move slightly faster than a person with a body stat of 10, 11, or 12, respectively. The fuck does that mean? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, at level 4, you're 4 times faster than the average human adult. The fuck does that mean? And your initiative goes +2, and your combat value goes +1. 5 times faster than the average human adult at well 50. And also, you're told you're not supposed to put the body stat above 12, but technically, at levels 3, 4, and 5, you would move faster than a person with a body stat higher than 12, but you're not supposed to go higher than 12. So anyway, it is what it is. Fuck it. Strong soul, you raise your soul stat, whatever, dude. I don't even care anymore. Unique character attribute, 1 to 4 points per level. 1 point can add flavor. Relevant stat varies. Level 1, little, 2. Levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 run as follows: little, moderate, large, or major, or an extreme effect on the game. Can you do anything with that information? I can't. So if we have a ascending scale, a little too extreme, why not just assign a point cost? Why not just take power or magic here without energy point cost? Perhaps lower character point costs, and also with possibly less rolls. Examples are ass blown, blown out huge, including immortality, time travel, elemental control, right? Unique character attributes are rated at 1 to 4 points per level. So conceivably, you could buy your unique character attribute of immortality at level 5 for just 5 character points versus buying it under magic where it would cost at 5 points, potentially 10 points. This is the thing. It is what it is. Character defects. Defects are small disadvantages. So after you did all that, after you're doing this character creation, you buy all your attributes. You spend your attributes points, your 10 or 15 or 20 attribute points, depending on whether or not it's a low, medium, or high powered game. Then you get to character defects. You're supposed to take character defects to get additional bonus points. These bonus points are just character points. By changing the word to bonus points, you create additional verbiage that can only confuse the player. They're character points you get by taking character defects. What if you don't want any character defects? Well, it says defects are small disadvantages through which your character must suffer in order to overcome the hardships of day-to-day life. So if I'm looking at this game as mechanics and what the mechanics are, I'm looking at this as saying that you have to take character defects. Defects available are listed in tables 2 through 4. And all that happens when you take these defects is you get either 1 or 2 bonus points, which are just character points, to go back into the system and buy additional of these character attributes. But as I've already discussed, a lot of these character attributes are just fucking ass that don't work anyway. As far as I can really tell, the only character attributes that are really worth the damn anyway are just the character attributes that raise the stats and or raise the combat value anyway. Guess what? The only character defects that really make any sense are those character defects that lower the attributes. You might end up with a system where you basically raise your character attributes, including raising your stats through character attributes, come to character defects, take elective character defects that lower your attributes, only to go back, lower your stats, only to go back to character attributes, and then use those points to raise the stats back up. I swear to God, and there's nothing to explain those things narratively. You'll have, look, defects available. Okay, so it's suggested you take no more than 3 defects for your characters. Bonus points equals character points. Why change the word? Awkward. 1 bonus point, generally clumsily and accident prone. 2 bonus points, your combat value is decreased by 1 point. Cursed, 1 bonus point for a small disadvantage, 2 bonus points for a large disadvantage. You're going to see it's this thing. It's all 1 bonus point if it's something that happens every once in a while or random, or it's rarely, happens, and it's 2 bonus points if it happens all the time. Right? Easily distracted. 1 bonus point if it's one specific thing that distracts you, or it's one that's encountered infrequently, or 2 bonus points if it's a number of related triggers or 1 trigger that's encountered frequently. And that's repeated ad infinitum throughout these other things. Hollow soul. Your soul is reduced. Your soul stat is reduced. Inept combat. 1 bone character point or 2 character points reduces the combat value by 1 or 2. Wait, this makes no sense from a cost benefit analysis. Also awkward at 2 character points is the same as inept at 1 character point, but double the value. Look, see here. If you take awkward at 2 bonus points, your combat value is decreased by 1 point. But if you take inept combat at 1 bonus point, it also reduces your combat value by 1. Oh, no. If you take awkward at if you take awkward at 2 bonus points, you get your combat value decreased by 1 point. But if you take inept combat at 2 bonus points, you get your combat value lowered by 2. So why would you take inept combat? Just take awkward at 2 bonus points, and then your combat value is decreased by the same amount, but you get 2 bonus points. Oh, but you have to role play as someone who's incredibly awkward all the time. Yeah, okay. Involuntarily physical change, 1 bonus point or 2 bonus points. Again, exactly. If it happens all the time, my God, if it happens just every once in a while. Owned by a megacorp, possibly the government, 1 bonus point if you're partially owned. 2 bonus points if you're under their total control. Phobia, the special requirements, blah, blah, blah. Unique character defects, another catch-all. Derive stats. Here, derive values. Based directly on the body, mind, and soul stats. Your combat value, your attack or defense combat value is maybe modified separately, or an attribute may alter combat value globally. Body, mind, and soul are of equal importance to combat value. This is game philosophy stated plain. Base attack value is your body, mind, and soul divided by 3, rounded down. Your defense combat value is your base attack value minus 2. Your health points are your body and soul times 5. Your basic energy points are your mind and soul times 5. You can use your energy points as follows. Your energy points are basically used for your magic and your psionic fuel, but you can also use them to temporarily increase your stats, and you can also use them to temporarily increase increase health points, which can save you from the brink of death. Step 7, background points. This is just right out of Amber. If you do things like make an illustration of your character or write up an extremely detailed backstory biography, you hand that into the GM and you get to 1 to 3 bonus points, character points for every contribution. That's right out of Amber. That's straight lifted from Amber. And again, these are character points that go right back into the recycle right back into the character creation process to buy yourself more of these useless, wonderful attributes that do fuck all nothing. Anyway, combat and other actions. Game philosophy. Combat is important is not the same as frequent. It tells you don't have combat all the time. It'll lose its luster. Don't be a combat machine. Have your combat every once in a while, sparingly. Dramatic, quick, unrealistic. Absolutely. Should be fun to play, as anime combat is fun to watch. And that lets you know it's not anime role playing, it's a specific type of anime role playing game, right? Right? Voogie's Angels, right? Bubblegum Crisis, right? Fun times. You know what I mean? Maybe Appleseed, possible. You know what I mean? But generally, we keep it above the waistline sunshine, right? Tripping over banana peels. Lupin the Third. Step 1: determine the initiative order or action. You can. I'm not just want to explain combat to you guys. God damn it! This is like pulling teeth. If you want me to go through all of this stuff, I can, or maybe we'll do this as a part 2 because I'm getting winded. It's an hour and 18 minutes in. Do you want me to do a part 2? We'll do this as a part 1. Jordan says, "Yo," as I'm about to clock out. We might do this as a part 1 and a part 2 because this is I got winded at we'll do combat next time. We'll pick up at combat. Because at 1 hour and 18 minutes, everyone might be I'm getting sick, tired of hearing my voice speak. And we might be, and of course, you know what happens? The curse of the chanter. We're gonna ask. I have the Everway Deluxe Fortune deck here. LFG. That'll give me enough time to get back through this one, says Jordan. There you go. Leave you on a cliffhanger. So, but here's the thing, folks. Here's the thing. Here's the question of the day. I have what I think I have a bit of a reputation. I feel that I have a bit of a reputation. So the question is this. Tell me in the comment section below the following. I would like you to tell me the following in the comment section below. Okay? Help me out here, folks. Tell me the following in the comment section below. Number one. Three things you could tell me in the comment section below. First of all, like, comment, subscribe. If you like this video, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Take a look at the description box below. I indeed have a Patreon. Give me a PayPal donation. Subscribe to my other channels. Go ahead. Give a dog a bone. It's good for what ails you. Three things in the comment section. Here, number one. Did you like the video? Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. Tell me how can I help. Number two, if you did like it, tell us what you liked. And number two, do you want a part two? Have I whetted your appetite for Big Eye Small Mouth first edition? Do you want me to go back and do a part two where I continue with the rules? Including but not limited to combat. Number three, if this is for the hardcore, if you are a longtime CW Chanter, Blueberry Wolf Bridge watcher, what do you think are the odds that we'll actually get to, and I'll do a part two? I've got the Everway. Everway was an RPG that came out in 1995 as well. Here are the reissued cards. It had a tarot card like randomizer mechanic. Will, in lieu of a tarot card pull, we'll use an Everway card pull, and we'll ask this card for some insight. Will the audience demand, and will I come through with a part two of this video preview? I wonder what. The unicorn. The unicorn. The unicorn from the Suit of Beasts. One way it's called Purity, and done the other way it reads as Temptation. Purity versus Temptation. Will we stick true? Will we stay on our path, continue through, and see this journey through to its end? Remember, folks, I started off by saying I was already reaching the point where, oh man, I'm getting sick and tired of this crap. I'm ready to switch horses. But we're not quite done. But I don't want this to be a 2-hour video. No one will get to it anyway if we do that. I think I could come back and I'll do a part two. If I'll just do it, I'll just read through it. I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. The combat is actually my favorite part of the system. What I gotta tell you, folks, is that what I'm learning is that I like quick and easy systems. I like the advanced fighting fantasy games. I like systems where it's this, and this, where it's not 1,003 different mechanics for 1,003 different spells. Jordan, the personification of everyone's journey. Will we be derailed by side quests or keep on going where the universe wants to go? It's or telling the difference between the side quests that the universe wants us to go on or distraction. Do what we see before us, is that a distraction or is that a side quest being offered by the universe? Are we being true to ourselves when we say it's time to change? We've seen this through, or are we playing a game on ourselves because we desperately want to quit before the bread is baked? We continue to live, laugh, and love. We continue to read, ponder, and pontificate. And as long as we keep on working, we'll keep on getting closer to that solution. Read a spiritual text every day, chant every day, and keep working. Just keep working. That's all you got to do. I love you. I love you. I love you. Nobody told you they loved you today. Somebody forgot that they weren't going to say that anymore. But that's okay. Old habits. Live hard. Happy 2025. Happy gaming. Catch y'all again real soon. Until then. So many people making claims, but are they real? Are there aliens, or is it nothing? Why?